So you've just overpaid for a collection. What are your options? Do you go to eBay and list everything as mint and charge $1 billion? Do you beat yourself up and wallow in self-hatred? Stupid, stupid, stupid! Do you try to manifest each book into 9.8 candidates? Do you just sell it as a loss? Do you steal the time stone from the Sanctum Sanctorum and undo the entire purchase? Or do you patiently try to move each book individually? That's right, folks, the answer is obvious. You're going to want to beat yourself up and wallow in self-hatred. But once you're done that, where do you go from there? Honestly, 90% of the time that you overpay on a collection, you're probably going to be looking at a loss no matter what you do, which is why it's so important to be wise and avoid those situations in the first place. But you're here, you've overpaid, what's next? Being in that hole may make you want to go down more deceptive routes, but as whoever the heck did all those CGC green to blue label scams will tell you, crime does not pay. So let's talk about the 10% of the time that you can actually squeeze a recouping of your money out of a bad buy. The first thing you're going to want to do is remove the bulk. In this particular instance, I just bought 3 long boxes, and unfortunately 2 out of the 3 were junk. You take it out, you separate it, get rid of it, march it on down to a local comic book shop. They're going to probably give you the 5-10 cents per book, but that's what it's worth, so that's okay. At least you've already started with something back in your pocket. Anything of either the smallest significance, or if it's a popular title in really good shape, commonly Amazing Spider-Man, get that out of there, hold the good stuff, and get rid of the junk. The second step is to start making piles. Get yourself a $3 book stack, a $5 book stack, a 10. If you have a collection of anything that's over $10 books, that's great. Start a pile of that too. Sometimes you might even want to separate indie from Marvel from DC. I'll get to why it's good to separate in just a moment. Next up, I want to tell you that trading may not be your friend. When you're looking at an overpaid comic book collection, you're probably not going to be giving off the best energy in regards to it. So the trader on the other end will probably be able to pick up on that, and they're probably going to want less for more. So honestly, with trading, you may wind up even more in a hole than where you already are. Advanced traders might be able to finagle some Jim Halpert situation in which they can trade up, but that is advanced technique, and it just doesn't come to everybody naturally and can be difficult, and you can't bank on it. Typically, if you've got a pile of weak keys that you've overpaid on, the trading's not going to be fantastic. So that's why for the next step, you're going to want to scan each book. If you do not see a single problem, the book looks perfect, and I mean perfect. I'm not even talking about a bindery tear at the top. This thing looks clean as the day it came off the press, and even better, you may be looking at a grading candidate. EGS, CBCS, PGX, CGC, there's all kinds of options. Here's where you might be able to recoup some money. CGC is currently the one that'll give you the most bang for your buck if you can get the grade out of it. But don't just submit them because they're perfect. Look on CLZ, look on GoCollect. If anything looks like it's at least $80, you can try sending it to recoup some money. If it is below, it is not worth the risk. Let me tell you, just leave it be. You might end up, once again, worse in a hole if you send some books off and half of them don't even get the 9.8, even though you thought they were perfect, and the ones that do get the 9.8 are like $30, $40 books. No. If it's over 80 and the book looks perfect, that is a candidate to send. You may be able to recoup some investment by doing this. Next up, you're going to want to identify this collection from any other collections that you get in. Mark each book with either a color-coded sticker or a different marker, something that tells you, oh, this is the collection I overpaid on, this is the one I have to be firm on price. Usually, if you underpay on a collection, you have a lot of wiggle room. You might be able to cut some awesome deals, you might be able to sell it honestly pretty low and kind of pay it forward. When you overpay, you got to be firm on price. I'm not talking or advocating about overpricing. Let me be very clear. I'm talking about if you've got a $5 book, sell it for $5. It's going to take some time, but you have to be stubborn. Next up, speaking from experience, if you have a collection of weaker, smaller keys, I recommend doing 2 things. Be in one of those Facebook groups set up at flea markets or do claim sales of a dedicated sale. If you have such a niche set of books, do a niche sale. That way people know exactly what you've got going in. Or you could do the opposite, which is include these things with a much better collection. Let's say you have $100 book after $100 book after $100 book. You start taking from some of the $10 price books from this pile, put them up on the wall, Suddenly those books look more attractive and affordable in comparison to such expensive books that people are going to be more inclined to want to go for those. So it's a mix. You can sell very similar books together at designated sales, or you could play the long game and put them in with other much better collections, and it will slowly start to eat away at the overpaid collection over time. Next up, you can tell where I'm leading to here. Be patient, man. Sometimes an overpaid collection, you're in it for the long game. You may take weeks, months, and years, plural, to actually sell this stuff. Sometimes overpaying for books can leave a bad taste in your mouth and you just want to offload it and forget the whole thing happened. You could. It is better to play the long, patient game. This one long box of overpaid books that I just rebagged and bored everything, it could take me a year to deplete this entire box. It very well could. Focus on getting new and better inventory in the meantime. Instead of focusing on the blunder, focus on getting new and better inventory that you're paying a much better price on. This previous collection ain't going anywhere, so be okay with it selling slowly. And finally, even after all is said and done, you still could be looking at a loss. It is very common, like I said, probably 90% of the time, which is why it's so important not to overpay in the first place. Focus on making sure it doesn't happen again. I still overpay on occasion from collections. Sometimes I feel the pressure, like, oh, when's the next collection I'm gonna get in? And even though I don't like the price, I don't walk away because it's just like, you know what, I think I gotta go for it. Maybe there'll be some surprises in here that I missed. There usually aren't. In fact, dare I say, the skill set of being able to walk away could be the most important tool in your belt as a comic book buyer. That is going to be the deciding factor on how you actually let the hobby fund itself, or in some of our cases like mine, how you could turn your hobby into an actual business. You will save yourself headaches and hours of man time, sometimes months of man time, just by being able to walk away. Chances are, too, that if you've got a gut feeling that you think you're about to overpay, you just know that comic book shops and other places are going to be offering a hell of a lot less than you. So work that into the negotiations. If you know that you are going to pay the most for this that person's ever going to get, you need to tell them that. You need to work on getting that price lower. But this isn't a video on how to do sales tactics. Maybe that'll be another one, but that is something that just kind of comes natural. This video is more like what to do if you're already in the crisis mode. You've already made the mistake. So I dropped $450 for this full box, and it is mostly $3, $5, and $10 books. And you know what? I gotta play the long game on this one. And I gotta make sure I don't do it again. Learn from our mistakes and learn from my mistakes, and I will see you at the next video. Love you all. I'll see you in 2024. Keep on hunting. Make sure to come down to Sentiment Depot Antiques and Collectibles, where I'm set up with all of my comics, located at 238 West Delaware Ave, Pennington, New Jersey. Open every day except for Monday and Tuesday. Enjoy 10% off from Wednesday to Friday. See you there.